We are in Parashat Naso, and we want to talk about one of the most important things that stops me from serving Hashem. And of course we're talking about the Yetzer Hara. Everybody knows that there's this force that drives you nuts, gets you away from Hashem, makes your life hard, drives you crazy, gets you off your focus. And we constantly hear that Yetzer Hara, it's the Yetzer Hara, it's the Yetzer Hara. Everybody's well acquainted with the Yetzer Hara. But we want to know a few things. First of all, what causes him to be so strong? First of all. And not only that, what does he really do? How does he really manipulate us that we fail so easily, so to say? That all time after time he gets us to fail. And usually what happens? Usually I will fail. Right away, if I'm lucky, I'll get up, brush off the dirt, and I take on myself, you know what, I'm not doing this again. I'll never do this. That's it. It's the last time. And you take all these decisions on you, and then that's it. And 2 hours later, you're on a different highway. You totally forgot the decision that you took. So we want to know today, and we'll see how it's connected to our parasha, because this is the first parasha that is really exposing that there is a Yetzer Hara. So, and we want to know why and how and who and when. But nevertheless, first we want to know what is his power that he's able to win me over and over and over. And more than that, how come every time I will make a decision and, like I said, 2 hours later you forget and right away you go back? Which brings us, of course, to the main point, the main question that we want to address is, how do I recognize when the Yetzer Hara is doing a number on me? How do I recognize when it's the Yetzer Hara and not something else? And if I would recognize, maybe I will be able to be on guard or to be prepared. So, and of course comes another question, is what is that connected to the weekly parasha? I mean, I don't see any connection. So we want to learn all of that. And needless to say that our point today is to cover the idea behind where the Yetzer Hara comes, what is his agenda, but mainly how to deal with it. I mean, we're looking for solutions, not for fluff. To just talk about fancy things doesn't help me. I like getting solutions and getting tools to deal with the Yetzer Hara. So, first of all, this parasha is the first time that we meet in the Torah any hint or any explanation about the fact that there is a Yetzer Hara. All the other parashot is not talking about it. This is the first parasha that we find out that we have a Yetzer Hara. Now, not only that, the Torah is explaining to me what happens exactly in the moment when I do a sin. And this is something important to know. Because if I don't know what's the consequences of my act, then I will just act however I want. So the Torah comes and explains to me clearly what happens when I do a sin. All this huge topic is all explained in one letter. Not one word even. The whole thing is summarized and concentrated into one letter. And this letter is called a sin. There's a few letters that we can pronounce them in different ways. And why? Because these are the letters that if you put a dot in a different place, it will sound different. So you have bet and vet, and then you have kaf and chaf, and pei and fei. So you have also shin and sin. So this letter that everything is focused on is in the letter sin. And where do we find it in this parasha? In this parasha we have the whole story about the woman that goes and betrays her husband, Isha Sota. And it's talking about a woman that goes off and she has an affair with another man while she's still married. Now I know a lot of people are blaming here the woman, but there's also a man there, so there's also a man to blame. But nevertheless, here it's talking about this woman, and the verse goes, Ish ish ki tiste ishto, a man that his wife, tiste, she goes off the path, umala bo ma'al, and she went and has relations with another man. Now, the word tiste, this is, the translation means to listot, is, when you're driving on a highway and you're going on a lane, and then suddenly the car starts going to the next lane because you're busy texting or checking your WhatsApp. This is called listot, is that you're going off your path. Whether you're doing it deliberately or not is less relevant. But this is called listot. So when it's talking about isha sota, that she's going off the path. That she's going off the path of being a righteous and a loyal wife. Now comes the problem here, is that the way it's written, and it says tiste with a sin, which is not the right way in Hebrew to write it. It should have been written with a samech. That's how you actually write the word listot. Listot is when a person goes off the path. So why is the Torah coming and writing it with a sin? If the Torah is coming and writing it with a sin, must be that the Torah is trying to tell me something. Comes Rashi, a famous commentator, that he explains things in a very simple way. And it says, you know why it's written with a shin, with a sin? Because a person makes a sin only when a ruach shtut goes into that person. A spirit of folly, nonsense. And shtut is written with a shin. And that's what will cause a person to sin. Saying in other words, a person has a moment of stupidity. That's what he says. A person is a fool, tipesh, and he doesn't think straight, and you fell. And the Yetzer Hara is so sophisticated that even the most smartest and wise men or women fall to this moment of stupidity. How many times people lose their entire career? Their entire career. You see sometimes presidents, prime ministers, and high-ranking officers, big people. And in one moment of a mistake, a little bit of a moment of weakness, their whole career is down. So Rashi says, the person only sins when a ruach shtut, the spirit of folly, comes in and makes you lose your focus, and because of that, you sin. Therefore, because it says ruach shtut, and the shtut is this nonsense, this folly, this fakeness, then the Torah uses the shin to the isha ki tiste, and since it's supposed to be written with a samech and to be pronounced with a s, so it's written it with a sin and not a shin. Okay, this is what Rashi says, but nevertheless, this is a revolution. How Rashi now is coming, what he's coming and saying here. Because now I'm looking at the concept of sin in a completely different way. Because Rashi came and told me, oh, you sinned? Must be that you're stupid. Must be that you had a moment of insanity. So it's making me look at the idea of a sin in a completely different angle now. Now, if Rashi is saying that I'm sinning because of spirit of folly, of stupidity, so if I'm stupid, why do I need, this means that I need to sin? I don't see a connection between stupidity and a sin. If you are stupid, so what are you telling me? If I'm stupid, then I sin? Now, what is the Torah is trying to hint to me? Obviously, the Torah is hinting something here. Now, we find in another place that somebody calls the Yetzer Hara stupid. So here we see that Rashi says that it's a spirit of folly. But we also find that Shlomo HaMelech calls the Yetzer Hara also a fool. That's what he calls him. This case is found in the book of Kohelet. I know many times I've tried to say Kohelet in English, and I always break my teeth. Esliastics, Kohelet. So That's why I mentioned a couple times. Please don't make me say that. Kohelet. Easy. Don't need to say yes, klis. Anyways, Shlomo Melech says, and he calls the Yetzer Hara, Tov, what does he say? Tov Yeled Misken Vechacham. Better to have a kid that is poor and smart, wise. Mimelech Zaken Ksil. From a king that is old but a fool. So here we see that Shlomo Melech is calling the Yetzer Hara a fool too. So who's the fool here? The sinner or the Yetzer Hara? Now you got me confused. Rashi says that I sin because I'm a fool. Shlomo Melech says the Yetzer Hara is the fool. So now you got me confused. And besides that, why is the Yetzer Hara fool? I understand that I'm the fool if I sin, but why is the Yetzer Hara? So we find in different places in the oral Torah that our sages define the Yetzer Hara with funny definitions. In the Talmud, in the tractate Brachot, this can be found in page 61, the sages call the Yetzer Hara a fly. A fly. Yetzer Hara is like a fly, a zvuv. Why a zvuv? The Chafetz Chaim explains because flies, you see that fly, they're annoying. They don't go. Other animals, you go like that, they'll move away. A dog will come and bother you, just say, shoo, kishta. The dog will turn around and leave. Most animals, you'll make a sound, a loud sound, or you'll scare them, they'll leave. A fly, you can go like this all day long. He will never leave. Like those mosquitoes at night. They come like that. So, sometimes you see there's a fly here. We have to zap him. That's why we have the zapper. But a fly doesn't let you go. Doesn't matter how much you're going to shoo him, he's not going to let you go. That's the Yetzer Hara. Doesn't matter how many times you tell the Yetzer Hara, don't bother me already. Leave me alone. Today I want to be a good boy. He comes like this annoying fly. And the Yetzer Hara never leaves you. That's the problem. I call it, the Talmud calls it a fly. I call it an insurance agent. You know, those salespeople, they don't let go. You tell them, I'm not interested, but I have a deal for you. I'm not interested. Did I tell you my specials? I don't want to hear about your specials. So it's like these sales agents that they come and annoy you. And they knock on the door, you throw them through the door, comes through the window, close the window, he comes through the back door. So the Yetzer Hara is like a fly, annoying. There is a story with a very, very famous tzaddik. His name is Rabbi Meir Mipar Mishlan. And there's a story with him that there was once a man, and he was a nice man, he had a good job, and one day he got fired. And, he sat at home for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. The guy's getting bored. You know what it is to be unemployed? How long can you sit at home? So, unfortunately, he picked up a bad habit, started drinking. There's nothing else to do. Every night goes to the bar, drinks with the chevre, with the guys. And needless to say, that put a toll on the marriage. One point, the wife told him, listen, you can't, you gotta stop with the drinking. I can't take it anymore. Yes, I'll do my best, I'll try, and nothing worked every time. Quit the drinking, yes, I'll do my... At some point she came, she told him, that's it. If you're coming one more time drunk home, you're out. I'm divorcing you, I'm leaving you. You gotta stop with that. Okay, he says, okay, I gotta take it serious. My wife is gonna throw me out of the house. It's not a joke. I gotta take it serious. Okay, so one time he wants to go to the bar. He stands outside. He looks at the bar and hears the laughing and the music, and he's like, it's telling him, no, go. And he's like, I can't. My wife is gonna throw me out of the house. So he walks away. And that's is working on him. So he turns around, goes and stands in front of the bar, and the Yetzer tells him, listen, you're going to get the kick out of the house. And he walks away, and the Yetzer again starts tricking him, and just go for one little drink. You don't have to drink, just one little drink. And the Yetzer is really working on him. And he goes back and forth and back, and he doesn't walk in. Finally, he's like, that's it. I'm not breaking. I'm not going to believe the Yetzer Hara. I'm going home right now. He goes home and he walks in all sober and happy, and I did it. I didn't listen to the Yetzer Hara. And his wife looks at him and says, "Oh, honey, I'm glad to see you came home. You're not drunk." And she's happy. She hugs him and everything is good. So he turns around, he looks in the mirror and he says, "Ah, you did it, my friend. You were able to beat the Yetzer Hara. Kol hakavod. How about we have a l'chaim?" So the Yetzer Hara, will never leave you. Even when you thought that you beat him, he will make you feel like a winner. They're like, "Hey, how about we have a drink?" So the Yetzer Hara is like a good salesperson, like a fly. It doesn't leave you. It bothers you and bothers you. Shooing from here, it will come back from here. And now there's another place in the Talmud that they say that the Yetzer Hara, they call him Yoshev ben Maftechei Lev. The Yetzer Hara sits between the keys to the heart. And this is just a saying, but what does it really mean? That the Yetzer Hara has a tendency to make you fail with something small, and then he starts working on it, slowly. He gets you with something small. He's not going to come to you right away and tell you, "Hey, let's desecrate Shabbat," or "let's go and steal." He'll come and tell you, "That's it's not a big deal. It's not really a halacha. It's just an addition." And he will make you feel in something small, and then he will start working on it. As our sages say, the Yetzer tells you, today do this, tomorrow do that, and before you know it, he makes you bow to idols. And this is where we have to really be careful from the Yetzer Hara. This is when we really want to understand his agenda. And on this Ma'amar Chazal, that our sages say that the Yetzer Hara works on little things, there's a story to kind of emphasize the idea. And this story is told about the Baal Shem Tov. And the story goes that one time he goes to a city and he's invited to a wedding. And in the olden days, I'm sure you once or twice you participated in a ceremony when they bring a Sefer Torah into the shul and they walk with the Torah in the street. And usually they'll cover the Torah with a chuppah, and there's music and dancing, and they escort the Torah. Usually they will do it from the place where it's complete, when they finish the Sefer Torah, into the shul, and they walk in the street. So once they used to do the same thing with weddings. They used to go with the Chatan and the Kala in the street, and all the village, all the city, everybody will participate. Okay, so they're all walking like that, and the Baal Shem Tov is in the crowd walking and singing and dancing. At some point they see a person standing on the side of the road, and the Baal Shem Tov goes out of the line, walks to that person, leans over, whispers something in his ear, and turns around and goes. Now the students of the Baal Shem Tov, they notice that and they're like, "Ooh, who's this guy? That our master stopped the wedding, stopped the march of the wedding to go to this person, whisper something in his ear, and to move on. Oh, I bet you this guy is a tzaddik. Maybe this guy is one of the 36 hidden tzaddikim, that if our master went and talked to him." So all the students, they approach the man and they tell him, "What did he tell you? What did Baal Shem Tov told you?" He says, "I can't tell you." Oh, now it got them even more curious. You see, if he doesn't want to tell us, for sure he's a tzaddik. And they start bugging him, "Tell us, what did he tell you?" So they bothered him, probably like a fly. And at some point, he's like, okay, I'll tell you, just let me alone. Just leave me alone. And the man tells him, "Okay, listen, I will tell you." And he says to him, "I have a story." And the story goes that I have a very, very good friend of mine, my dear friend from childhood, from the age of that I can't even remember. We were best friends. We grew up together, everything together. And unfortunately, a few years ago, he got into some financial stress, and he had to go and get money. And in the olden days, to get money, you have to travel far away. And nothing changed for hundreds of years. We also get into financial stress. So you go borrow money from the bank, you put it on the credit card, whatever it is. 300 years ago, they didn't have credit cards, so sometimes the husband had to go for a year, go and work, 2 years, 3 years. This man tells that my best friend got into financial problems, so he had to leave the town, he had to go and work. And he left for 3 years. 3 years, the family doesn't see him. Finally, he came back. Everybody was happy to see him, his wife, the kids. I was my best friend. And he says, I walk into his house and I see on the table a wallet full of money. And of course, I realized that's probably the money that he made throughout the time that he was away. And I say to myself, how does he leave the money like this on the table? That's not okay. Anybody can come and steal. It shouldn't be. You worked hard now for 3 years. This is your savings. Not only that, look at your poor wife. She waited for you, the kids. And why don't you leave it like this on the table? You know what? I think I'm going to teach him a lesson. I'm going to take the wallet. And he will, of course, not find the money. And by that, I will teach him, take responsibility. You cannot just leave the wallet just placed on the table. He wasn't thinking too much what would be the result, and he goes and takes the wallet. His friend comes back, and he's like, where's the money? Where's the wallet? And right away, he starts freaking out. And he sees his friend like losing it. Where's my wallet? Where's my wallet? And he's standing, he's like, oh my God, this is a little bit not, I didn't think it's going to be that bad. But listen, okay, I'll play the game. When I'm going to give you now the wallet, I'm going to look like a fool. Not even an hour passes, and his wife, what's going on, honey? Why are you all uptight? He's like, I can't find the wallet. The money's gone. The wife starts freaking out. Are you serious? 3 years I'm waiting for you, and now like that, the money's gone. They get into a fight. What a fight. And the friend is standing from the side. Oh my God, now because of me, they fight. Oh, what are you going to do? And they're screaming their heads off and fighting, and he's like, oh my God, what did I do? What am I going to give them the money now? Now it's not the right time. Let them come down an hour or two, and then I'll come and somehow bring the money back. An hour or two passes, they don't come down, becomes even worse. Now everybody starts hearing the screaming. So people coming in, what? He lost the money? Within minutes. Everybody knows the money's gone. There's a little small town. Now what happened throughout the 3 years? The wife was borrowing money from people. She said, my husband will come, he will pay you. Now all the people, the debt collectors come to the door. We heard you don't have money. What, you fooled us? Now you're not going to have how to pay us? And the whole commotion. And the guy's sitting there in the corner, he's like, what did I do? Now look what's going on. How am I going to come now with the money? I'm going to look like a fool right now. And he can't believe, what did I do? The next day in the morning, he's already sued. They're pulling him into the Beit Din. Now everybody's suing him. He owes us money. And a whole circus starting. And the friend is like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Okay, so he says, okay, listen, this is totally getting out of hand. How about I let it pass a day or two, let things calm down, then I'll come back with the money. Okay, 2 days pass. You think something calmed down? It's even worse. So the friend says, you know what? How about, before I give him back the money, maybe I should invest a little bit with the money and make some money on the side. I mean, after all, that's a nice amount of money. Why shouldn't I go and invest with it? And I can make him, I'll make some money for myself. I'll make some money from him. For me, maybe he won't be so upset because I took the money, I invested, and I'll give him more money. Oh, that's a nice idea. Maybe I'll go and invest with the money. Where should I invest? Now, if I'm going to come anywhere in this town and start spending money, everybody knows I don't have money. That's going to be very fishy. Now they're going to maybe say, I stole the money. So, how about I go to a different city and I'll invest over there? So, he packs his bags and he goes to a different city with the friend's money to invest over there. Can you imagine what would happen if he would get to the city and start investing? What if he would lose all the money? At this point, he goes into the new city to invest and he sees the wedding and he stops at the side of the street to see the wedding. And that's when the Baal Shem Tov approached him and just told him, stop right here. Because it's going to go worse and worse and worse and worse. Stop it. And go back give back the money. I guarantee to you that if you do now the right thing, I will make it, I will make it that you're not going to get in trouble. And everything will just come down and be peace. But stop. Don't let it go another step. Really, that's what the Baal Shem Tov told that person. Saying in other words, the Yetzer Hara, he pushes you in something small. And then it starts building up and building up and building up. And you're like, okay, I'm already here, so might as well do another. And before you know it, you're deep inside and you don't even know how to get out of it. And that's the way how the Yetzer Hara works. And this is where do we see it? With Chava. Where I think the snake right away came. When he came and told her, eat it! She said, I'm not eating it. What do you think, I'm a fool? So he saw that this method didn't work. So he went home, took his garment off, put another garment of a nice guy. Hi, how are you? And he came and he tricked her. And he just first pushed her on the tree. And then he says, I'm not telling you to eat it. I'm just telling you just to lean on the tree. You see, nothing happens when you lean on the tree. So the Yetzer Hara, he comes one step after the other. He's not going to come and attack you, big things. He's going to come and push you on something small. You go to the supermarket and you see that display, that display, and they have all the gummies and the cookies and everything. You just need to eat one. And then you're not allowed to eat it. This is gezel. This is not yours. I'm talking the ones where you fill the bags. And people walk around them like sharks. Just one? No, I need to taste it. What, before I'm going to buy? I need to see that it's fresh. And that's not, maybe this one. And before you know it, you're eating half the produce. Now, if they let you do it, if they come with that, some people in the supermarket, they come to you, you want to taste samples? Okay, so have one. Some people make a whole meal out of it. How about this one? So if they give you sample, that's one thing. But sometimes they have this presentation, whatever it is, either it's those gummies or different nuts, and you come and you fill up bags, and some people, so the Yetzer Hara tells you, just eat one. One. Yeah, you're tasting. You have to know if it's fresh or not. And you taste one, and then before you know it, you go to another department, and then before you know it, you still have the place. So the Yetzer Hara works. The Yetzer Hara works in a very sneaky way. He makes you fail in one thing, and before you know it, you work for him. This is called the Drachim Akalkalot. The Yetzer Hara knows how to go in all these tricky ways. But really, that's his stupidity. That's where we find that he's stupid. That Shlomo Melech calls him a fool. I need to know when he's tricking me. And I need to know when to stop listening to him. Because if I know from the beginning when he's tricking me, then it's like a bad friend that comes and tells you, hey, you want to go out tonight to this and there, and here and there? If you know how to recognize when the Yetzer Hara is attacking, then you don't give him any yachas. How do you say? Don't listen to him. Now, there's a story. This story was it was told by Rabbi Nachman from Breslev, and he says there was once a king. And the king woke up and he had a horrible dream. He was all shaken up and upset, and right away he called my advisors. I need somebody to interpret the dream. So they called the second to the king, who was a very wise individual, to give him advice. And the king tells him, I had a bad dream. He said, what's the dream? He says, I had a dream that all the crops next year, they go bad, and everybody who will eat from the crops goes crazy. And what's going to happen now? Now, all the crops in our land will go bad next year, and everybody will be crazy. Now we're going to have a whole country of cuckoos. What are we going to do? And everybody has to eat. I mean, what are we going to eat? And especially he's talking about not all the crops. I mean, tvua is like wheat and barley, whatever it is, the grains. Says, everybody has to eat. So what's going to happen? We're going to have a whole land of cuckoos. So the advisor says, I have an idea. How about we give everybody the bad produce. Everybody will start being cuckoo. But you and me, we're not going to eat from that. And we'll save some from this year, or we'll become vegan, whatever it is, and we'll be fine. The king says, no, that's not a good advice, because we're going to have a land of cuckoos, and we're going to be the two normal ones. Now, two normal against thousands and thousands of cuckoos of mad people, then we will be considered the cuckoos, and they'll lock us up, because they're all going to be like crazy. So we're going to look to them like crazy, and then we're going to be locked up. The king says, I have an idea. How about we eat like everybody? And we'll also be a little bit cuckoo. But what we're going to do is we're going to put here a mark on top of our eye that will remind us that this is where it came from. That the crops went bad, and everybody's cuckoo, and that's that we remember where it started. And at some point it will wear off. I mean, it's not going to be cuckoo for maybe a year. Everybody will be a little bit out of it. But at least we're going to remember constantly that it's a moment of insanity. It will pass. And that's what they will do. And why was that? Because once we will be crazy and we will look and we'll see the mark, we'll be like, okay, the craziness is going to pass. The craziness is going to pass, and we're going to be able to overpower it, to control it. And that's the idea, is that I have to understand when the Yetzer Hara, it's a moment of craziness, this ruach shtut, this moment of insanity. I need to put somehow a mark to understand, wait a minute, it's not what I want. It's a moment that I'm crazy, that my senses are off guard, that it's a moment of weakness. I need to put some type of a mark to ready to say to myself, whoa, don't jump on the mitzvah, you'll be sorry about it tomorrow. This is just a moment of weakness. Now, how do we put this mark? Okay, we got the point. Now we understand that there's a Yetzer Hara, he's trying to trick us, and he's going after us, and he knows how to trick us to come in very small things. Now we need to know how to figure that out, how to put it in the right perspective. Now, we mentioned that the Yetzer Hara is being exposed to us in this week's parasha, and this parasha usually is read right after Chag Shavuot. Usually. Even a leap year, not leap year, you saw now with Israel and the diaspora was a difference because of Pesach. So we were constantly a week ahead of outside of Israel. Now we caught up in Bechukotai. But usually Parashat Naso, usually it's read right after Matan Torah, after the holiday of Shavuot. Now, this is the longest parasha in the Torah, the longest of all the parashot, has 176 psukim, verses. And very interestingly, I mentioned that in one of the classes, I don't know if you remember, but the longest parasha in the Torah has 176 verses. Happens to be that the longest chapter in Tehillim, 119, has also 176 verses. And believe it or not, the longest tractate in the Talmud, Baba Batra, has 176 pages. Now, it goes even a little bit more deeper. There is a very famous tzaddik. He's known as Chidushei Harim. Not Harim, mountains, rather it's an acronym, Harim. His name is Rabbi Yitzchak Meir Alter. He's the first Rabbi of the Ger Hasidut. And he's known to be a very big tzaddik. He's known as the Rim. This is the acronym. He says that not only that the longest parasha in the Torah has 176 verses, and not only the longest chapter of Tehillim and the longest tractate, also Midrash Rabbah, the Midrash that is called Rabbah on Parashat Naso, is the longest of all. And also the Zohar on this parasha is the longest of all. Wow, 5 places that we find that this parasha has the most psukim, most pages, and most information. Why? The answer is very interesting, is when you go off the mountain, you work double power. Have you ever noticed that right after Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot, you're like on fire? So usually when you get off the mountain, you're on fire. You have extra powers. But as the months go down, you deteriorate, and within a couple months, so after a vacation, you gung-ho. Time passes, you like a race. You start running fast. It's like my kids, when I ask them to fix the mess in the house, the first 5 minutes, they're like ninjas. After 5 minutes, it's like, where does this go? Where does this go? They lose momentum. So, same thing here. We just got the Torah. We're all excited. So we work double power. So what do we do when we have double power? Then we take on ourselves double. Because we know that, you go on a road trip with a car, you start with a full tank. But after a couple miles, the tank is half empty. Same thing here. We just got the Torah. We're fully charged. So we take on ourselves much more. But even while we're in a state of a high, because whether you felt it or not, assuming that you were really counting the Omer for 7 weeks and you were working on yourself and refining yourself, on Shavuot you stayed up, heard the 10 Commandments, ate a lot of cheesecake, assuming that you were doing pretty good, whether you felt it or not, you were injected in such a boost of a high. We are all in a high right now. Some people are sensitive and they feel it, some people don't. Some people didn't do much, so they didn't receive much. But whether you felt it or not, the holiday of Shavuot is an injection of spirituality. And we're all in some type of a high right now. If you're sensitive, you are feeling it. But nevertheless, the reason why we read this parasha right after Shavuot, to teach us something very simple, that even when you're on a spiritual high, don't forget that there's a Yetzer Hara, and he is waiting for you, for the moment that you look to the wrong direction and then he slams you. So this is why it comes specifically in the whole story with the Sotah, because it says she drinks wine, you drink wine, a man and a woman drink wine and they're not husband and wife. That usually would lead to something that is not so kosher. So the wine confuses you a little bit, takes away your senses. But nevertheless, specifically we read this parasha after Shavuot to constantly remind me, yes, sometimes you do get to a spiritual high. After a Shabbat, or you learn a lot, or whatever it is, always remember the Yetzer Hara is waiting for you. He's waiting for the moment that you're not focused. Now, what really do we need to learn from all this? And not only what we need to learn from this, how do I recognize when the Yetzer Hara is planning an attack? All day long I have to be on guard. So, the answer is as follows. In the Talmud is the oral Torah. And mainly what the Talmud will teach you is the halachot, is the rules, the laws. But in the Talmud, you will find a lot of parts that it's called Agadah. Agadah is a story. And I don't know if you ever listened to a Shiur Gemara, or you learned it, there's always these stories. Yeah, it's called Agadah. Yeah. And usually it will come in between, sometimes not connected to even what you're learning, but a story. And usually the stories from the Talmud, a lot of wisdom, a lot of depth there. Nevertheless, there is one tractate, Baba Batra, that has all these exciting agadot. It's less halacha, a lot of agadot, very interesting. Specifically in this tractate, the agadot are very, very intriguing, very what's the word? Exciting. Okay. And most of them are told by a certain Amora. Amora is a sage. There are different eras. There are Tanaim and Amoraim. There's a certain Amora. He's known as Rabbi Bar Chana. If you join our classes, the Zohar classes at night, we mentioned him 2 days ago, exactly 2 days ago. And there's a story that he has all these agadot, all these stories that are wild. One time he has a story that he went to he fell off a ship and he went to a deserted island, and the deserted island ended up being a huge fish. And he has all these crazy stories. At one time he saw these little creatures, and you hear these agadot, and you're saying either the guy is completely cuckoo, Or it's just a parable, must be a parable. Okay, one of the first stories that he ever said is that he says that he went down to the ocean and he talked to the sailors. And the way how he defines the sailors, he calls them Yordei Hayam, the ones who go to the ocean. Once it was a very common thing. Now you just go to the supermarket and you buy a can. But in all the days, you go to the ocean, you bring fish. It was a very big business. And not only that, moving merchandise from one place to another. Nevertheless, the story says that he went to the sailors and he told them, I want to know how the waves that make a ship drown, how they look. Because now it's not so common. Today ships don't drown so fast. But 2,000 years ago, they didn't have the technology, they didn't have the means, the ships were not so big. And sometimes the ship will go into a storm and the ship will drown. Up until today, people all day long searching the oceans. You know that a few days ago, I read a big ship, a Spanish ship, I think from a couple hundred years ago, that was carrying a lot of treasure on it, and they knew where it drowned, and they found it now. It has a lot of treasures on it. So, and a lot of people, that's what they do. They go treasure hunting. They know where certain ships, where they went from, what was their route, and then they go and they look for it. You know, what do you think they did with the Titanic? You think they really cared to find the bodies? They wanted to find there was a lot of money on it. Jewelry and money, and they wanted to find it. They were pretending, we want to see how it happened. An autopsy. Somebody wanted the money. So some people, that's what they do. They develop systems how to find treasures on the bottom of the ocean, and they bring the ship up. And a few days ago, a very famous Spanish ship that was known to carry a lot of treasure, they found it, and they brought it up. Okay. So Rabbi Bar Chana goes to the sailors and he tells them, I want to know how the waves that caused the ship to drown, how do they look? And they gave him a good answer. They told him the wave looks like, they said the word Zohar. Zohar is like a flaring lights, or a glare, or radiance, something that is like shiny. And it says, I'll say it in Hebrew, then I'll translate. Zohar shel esh levana berosho. This radiating light of fire, of white fire that is burning on the top. That's how the wave looks. And this, you see that wave, you know this will put the ship into the ocean. There is an interpretation of this Gemara. There's two interpretations. One of them is by the Gaon from Vilna, from the Gra, and the other one is Ben Yehoyada. And they both say how this Gemara, this Agadah, is talking exactly how the Yetzer pushes us. Now, who's the ship that it's talking about here? I'm the ship. What's the wave that drowns the ship? That's the Yetzer. So this Agadah is obviously a parable, not an actual story. But the Gra, both the Ben Yehoyada, they say, no, I am the ship, and there's a certain wave, a lot of waves come, and they don't drown me, they just push me a little bit, but there's always going to be one wave that's going to make me drown. And they both say, this is how the Yetzer gets you. How does the Yetzer get you? He comes to tempt you like the Yetzer Tov. He's not going to come to you now with horns and fangs. He's going to come to you with a nice black jacket and a nice yarmulke, maybe a peot, and he's going to come to you dressed like a rabbi. That's how the Yetzer. He doesn't come to you dressed bad, he comes to you dressed like a friend. And you know he's going to tell you? Whenever you sin, something small, he's going to tell you it's okay, it's fine, you have to do it. It's totally fine. The Torah allows you to do it. You're like, oh, okay. The Torah allows me to do it, then I'll do it. So, and that's the shtut. This is the shtut that we were talking about it before, that ruach shtut. Because how many times you're sitting in a situation and you talk lashon hara? The Yetzer is going to come and tell you, you're not talking lashon hara, you are warning that person. And the Torah tells you, you have to warn another person before danger. This is not Lashon Hara. Ah, okay. So it's just a warning. So let me warn you more. So, and this is one example out of many, that the Yetzer is telling you, no, this is not a sin. It comes to you as a very learned individual, and he will bring you the excuse why the Torah allows you to do such a thing. Basically telling you that when you do a sin, no, you're fine. It's 100% kosher. Now, this is the shtut, this folly, this spirit of folly, because something that is wrong will never be good. If the Torah comes and tells you you're not allowed to steal, it can never be a scenario that stealing is good. If the Torah comes and tells you not to lie, there should never be a scenario that lying is good. So you have to use your brain for 2 minutes and says, if the Torah comes and tells me this is not allowed to, there cannot be a situation that to do it is a good thing. That's it. It's very simple. Now when I fall for that, then I am the fool. Because now I was able to be tricked by the oldest trick in the book. So this is this ruach shtut. So I always have to make a very quick analogy before, listen, if you in a very low place and you react by impulse, that's a whole different thing. You need to know how to develop it, that you think a little bit. What do we say every Friday when we sing Lecha Dodi? Sof Maaseh b'machshavat chila. Before you do an action, think first. Torah is telling you, I'm not expecting you to be a tzaddik, and definitely not a genius. Think. Don't act. Don't react right away. Because when you react right away, you're not thinking. And the Yetzer Hara, he loves that. So you need to take a moment break and say, wait a minute, is what I'm about to do allowed in the Torah? No. Is there a way that it can be distorted, that it's something good? No. And just start, don't do it. So the Yetzer Hara, he comes to me and he looks to me as something good. And he will come in a very, very knowledgeable way. No, this is allowed. Now how do you recognize it? Excuse me. Because in theory everything works much easier. Now when I'm saying it in theory, you're like, ooh, wow, I'm going to now win the Yetzer Hara from now on. In theory it works. But how do you really recognize it? Is it something that is evil? Will never, ever can be good. That's the rule that you have to remember. If the Yetzer Hara manipulates you that something that is negative or evil can somehow be good for you, it's almost like the people who drink Diet Coke. No offense, by the way, if you do. The Yetzer Hara will tell you, this is Diet Coke. This is diet. It's healthy for you. It's diet. So how can Diet Coke? The Coke is full of sugar, in case you didn't know. So how can it, I don't understand here. So it's like all these food that are low calories. How can a donut be with low calories? It's a donut. It's full of calories. So you really believe it? You really believe on the package when it says low calories or healthy? All this nonsense. And people fall for that. All natural ingredients. Really? That's interesting. It can sit on the shelf for a whole year and it's all natural. Take now an apple and put it on your shelf. After 3 days, it's rot. How can it sit, the product on the shelf, for a whole year? The expiration date is March 2022. It's all natural. And people are like, oh wow, honey, look. It's all natural. And people fall for that. This is a classic example that the Yetzer Hara comes and tells you, oh no. That's okay. This is fine. You can do it. Okay. He told me it's fine. I can do it. So the basic way to recognize it, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. Something bad will never be good. It cannot be good. That's how it works. That's the rules. But there's always has to be a but here. Because sometimes the Yetzer Hara doesn't get dressed in good. Sometimes it comes to you straight into your face and it's not dressed in good. So now we'll separate the two forms of attack. One form of attack is that the Yetzer Hara comes to you very subtle, very quiet. He makes it look good. He makes you think, well, it's not such a big deal. It's only one peanut that I'm tasting. So this is still stealing. When you go in the supermarket and you're taking that one peanut, that's still stealing. Unless they tell you you're allowed to taste one. Forget about the disgusting that if you put your hand there, how many other people put their hands there? So you're like, you're touching like now everybody's hands is in your mouth. So this is a whole different thing. But it doesn't say a sign you are allowed to taste from it. So even if you take one, I'm sorry to tell you, that's stealing. But the Yetzer is going to tell you, no, you have to taste that it's fresh. Well, it's for Shulchan Shabbat. So the first option is the Yetzer comes in a very subtle, a very tricky way, and he's going to make you think that what you're doing is good. But the other way, sometimes he comes full blown into your face with no filters, no good. He just tells you, do it. How do you recognize that the Yetzer Hara is going to minimize the severity of the sin? That's the again, everything is very simple. He will tell you, yes, you're doing a sin, but it's not so bad. I'm approving to you are doing a sin right now. But the other side will forgive you. You know when that happens? When you can steal from the phone company. Now, stealing is stealing. Even stealing from a dog is stealing. But you come and say, the phone company, they have like 150 million subscribers. They're making billions of dollars. The $30 that I'm going to steal from them is going to make any difference? They're not going to even notice. So that's when the Yetzer Hara tells you, it's okay, you are stealing. You know you're stealing. But it's not so big. It's nothing. They're not going to even notice that. So that's when the Yetzer Hara is telling you straight out to the face, you are sinning right now, but it's not as bad. He's minimizing the severity of the sin. And that's how you recognize when it comes subtle, just remember something bad can never be good. That's the rule of thumbs. And when he's coming to you straight into your face, just know that he will minimize the severity of the sin. And he will tell you it's not so bad. Or he will go somewhere along the lines with, everybody does that. Everybody says Lashon Hara, so you too. You're all be cooking together in the same pot in Genom. But it doesn't matter. So the point is that you need to know when to recognize how the Yetzer Hara is coming. Now, practically saying, how do you prevent from falling into the Yetzer Hara's trick? The only way of doing it is when you make fences. That's why half of our Torah, if not 80% of it, is fences. Most of the things that we're not allowed to do, it's not a prohibition. We just don't do it because it would lead me to do another thing, that would lead me to do another thing, that would lead me to do another thing, and then I sin. That's what we just learned in the previous class. Even if I put the cup close to the source of heat, it's not going to cook it. But maybe I'll move and one step after the other, and then I fail in cooking. And that's already a Isur from the Torah. So the only way to prevent is you put fences. One fence, another fence, another fence. Some people call it fanatic. Again, you're becoming fanatic on me. So you can call it fanatic, you can call it cautious, or you can call it smart. And you put one fence after another, and that is going to help prevent most of the problems. Now, where do you need to put the most powerful fence? That's on your thought. Not on your behavior, not on your mouth, not on your eyes, rather on your thought. The thoughts are the most deadly weapon. The Yetzer Hara goes to you in your thoughts. No, nobody has the Yetzer Hara coming to him in the form of a human being. The Yetzer Hara is in your thoughts. If you know how to already put the first filter on your thoughts, that's when you're stopping it from even going into the next level. Why would I put myself into danger? You have to be a complete fool to put yourself in danger. So I need to know how to put a lot of fences, and then I need to know that they have to go on all levels, my eyes, my mouth, my ears, but most important is my thoughts. Now, how do you really control your thoughts? Can you control your thoughts? It's almost impossible to control your thoughts. You can say, I can somehow control my mouth, I can somehow control my body, my actions, I can maybe control my eyes and not look, but how can I control my thoughts? The thoughts are just coming in there. So how do you control the thoughts? We'll conclude with a story. There was a certain individual that had a lot of issues with thoughts. We all have bad thoughts, by the way. Don't think you're the only one. Everybody has bad thoughts. One person is thinking impure things about another person, about a different gender. Another person is thinking how he's going to cheat you. Another person is thinking how much he hates you. Everybody has bad thoughts. All day long we have these bad thoughts. We judge people, we look at people, we resent people, and all day long, ooh, the jungle is going on in my mind. So there was another individual, he had problem with thoughts. So he went to his Rabbi, to his master, and specifically it was the Magid from Mazrij, the student of the Baal Shem Tov, and he told him, Rabbi, I have a problem with thoughts. All day long, all I think about, I look at that woman, I think bad things. I look at this guy, I think how to cheat him. All day long, I have bad thoughts. What should I do? So he tells him, I have a solution for you. Go to the next town. It's only a few miles. I have a student there, a famous student. His name was Ze'ev Wolf. The town was called Zhitomir. This is a town. He tells him it's not so far away. Go there, go to him, tell him I sent you. He'll tell you how to battle your thoughts. Okay, he goes there. Now, you know, in Russia, it was more the Ukraine, and in the winter, going even 2 kilometers is a journey. Okay, he takes his horses, the buggy, and he goes there, freezing cold, minus 3,000, snow up to here. Finally, he gets there, snowstorm, and he finds the house. He's somehow able to get there, and he comes, he knocks on the door, waiting a minute or two, knocks on the door, he's starting to freeze there, looking around, what's going on? Why are they not opening the door? Knocks on the door, starting already, his eyebrows are already frozen, he's getting upset. Why is he not opening the door? He goes, start walking around the house, he sees lights in the house. Puts the ear on the door, he hears the voices, he's like, hello, he's dying, he's freezing, and he's getting upset. Why are they not opening the door? He goes and he walks around, suddenly he finds like something, he pulls his head like this, he looks in the window, he sees them inside, he's like, hello, banging on the door, I'm freezing here! So he's already becoming a popsicle. After a half an hour, it's completely frozen. He's banging on the door. What kind of people are you in there? Where's your Ahavat Israel? I'm freezing here. Open the door. Finally, the guy opens the door. Yes, can I help you? Ah, he's screaming his head off. Why didn't you open the door? Look at me. I'm frozen. Tells him, I didn't open the door because I wanted to teach you that I control who comes into my house. I hold the keys to the door. So basically saying to him, in other words, you control what comes into your brain. You decide when you open the door and when you close the door. So he gave him a very, very good workout to think of. And the point is that you hold the doors to the keys to the door of your brain. Nobody will decide what goes into your thought. You decide. So if you have bad thoughts, you allowed it to happen for whatever reason. You need to know when you're opening the door to the thought, or when the thought comes, close the door. Now, how do you really do it? The teachings of Chassidut explains, this is brought down by the Baal Shem Tov, the Rabbi Nachman from Breslov is talking about it, the different places the Baal HaTanya is talking about it. We have a deficiency in our system. We can only think of one thing at a time. We can't think of two thoughts. This is a computer can think of two things at the same time. A human being cannot process two thoughts at the same time. So if you have a bad thought, how do you push that bad thought? Think of something else. It's very simple. Right now I have a bad thought. I'm thinking something so bad about a certain individual. Bring in a new thought into your mind. Right away, distort it. Maybe change your thought pattern. I can't transform the bad thought. I can push it by thinking about something else. So to conclude the class, first and most important, we have to acknowledge the fact that there's a Yetzer Hara. He has an agenda. He wants to make us sin. He wants to make us upset. He wants to make us sad. He has many different agendas, and he knows how to come. And he's, like I said, he's like a fly. He's annoying. He's not going to let you go. You think if you're going to push him 3-4 times, he's going to leave you alone? A dog, you can go kishta, a cat, another animal. Flies, they will come to you, and they're not going to leave you for 1 second. So that Yetzer Hara is not going to leave you. Don't think that you're going to make him stop. He's going to come. You just need to know how he's coming to you and how he's tricking you. And he's coming to, like the metaphor that Rabbi Bar Chana says, it's a wave that comes to drown you. And for a ship to be drowned, it needs a lot of waves. 1, 2, 3. The waves push you from side to side till the big one comes. And that's how the Yetzer Hara does. He will throw you from side to side till the big wave comes. And this is the Yetzer Hara. He is waiting how to turn you upside down. You just need to know how he's coming to you. If he's coming to you in a look of a nice, observant individual, then no, wait a minute, I have to be a little bit smart here. I can't let him fool me. I need to understand how is he tricking me? He's tricking me by telling me that, no, what you're doing it's not a sin. I don't know who told you such a thing. It's totally fine. And he will give you all the explanations. Suddenly you become a genius in halacha, and he will give you all the loopholes why it's okay to do what you're doing. And he's very sharp. I don't know about your Yetzer Hara. My Yetzer Hara is like a Talmid Chacham. He knows the whole Shas inside out. He gives me all the excuses why this is allowed to do. But nevertheless, you have to stop and say, wait a minute. If the Torah says I'm not allowed to do it and it's bad, then bad can never be good. Gossiping can never be good. Lying can never be good. Cheating can never be good. It doesn't matter how you're going to manipulate it. It will never be good. And I know some people will argue and say, yeah, but the halacha says that to save a person's life or to shlom bayit you're allowed to lie. Well, we had a class about that. It's not in all situations. And we concluded then, by the way, that you're allowed to lie. What does it mean that you're allowed to lie? You're allowed not to say the whole truth, not to make up new lies. You're allowed to avoid from telling all the truth. That's a whole different thing. Needless to say, when it's to save a person's life, pikuach nefesh, then you do whatever you need to do. But we're talking about normal situations. Lying can never be good. Cheating can never be good. Insulting somebody will never be good. Why, or eating not kosher. Why will eating not kosher will ever be good? Why can you find any type of explanation why right now to eat not kosher can be good? So we have to understand the Yetzer Hara is tricky. And then of course in the times that he comes and attacks me straightforward, then he's just going to minimize the sin. And don't minimize the sin for 1 second. Even the smallest sin, even taking one little raisin from that big display in the supermarket, one little peanut. That's still stealing. It doesn't matter if you stole the ton or 1 peanut. You still did the same action. And of course the remedy, not the remedy, but rather what to apply, and the secret to the success is just put gates. If you know that you are weak for something, then don't put yourself in that danger. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with the severe sins, even little things. If you know you have a weakness with Facebook, then don't go on it. If you know you're going to be there for 3.5 hours and waste your time when you have to do other things, then just don't go on. And if a person has whatever weakness they have, so make sure that you know how to put a lot of boundaries and a lot of, we call it fences, gderot v'syagim. Don't do this because it will cause you to do this, this and that. And you know where you're weak. Now, while you're already in the turbulence, doesn't matter what's going to happen. If he already got you, he got you. But the next day, when you wake up and you have back your senses, that's when you're saying, okay, I can't let it happen again. What do I need to do to stop from him coming again? And like I said, the most important thing is to know how to control your thoughts. And if you know how to really purify and control your thoughts, then that will remove already 90% of all the junk. Because everything starts from your thoughts. And don't think for 1 second that things don't affect your thoughts. The music you hear affects your thoughts. The movies you see, a lot of people says, no, it's a very kosher movie. It doesn't matter right now. Everything you see, your eyes are registering constantly. Everything you hear, everything that you do, it gets absorbed in your system, especially your thoughts. So needless to say, when you flood your thoughts with Torah, your thoughts are pure. So you see that your thoughts are a little bit not so on the pure side, then learn some Torah. Read Tehillim, read whatever you want, just to purify your thoughts, that your thoughts are clear. And if you see it's going worse and worse and worse, just work on your thoughts. It's all about how you're running the show here. And like the last story, you control the thoughts. It's not wrong. It's not right when someone says, I can't control my thoughts. It's not true. You are the master of the domain. You will decide when you open the door and when you close the door. And if the door gets opened so easily, then it just means that you are very interested for the visitor to come in. So then you're fooling yourself. And that's why the Torah says that the one who sins is a fool. Ruach shtut, because a moment of insanity. Now it's what people do. A person goes on a murder hunt, they kill 20 people. A moment of insanity. I'm sorry, I don't know, my hand just suddenly started shooting. I don't know what happened to me. A moment of insanity. So we have to understand that yes, the Yetzer Hara will get me to that point that I lose my insanity. See, the flies, get away from here already. So we have a zapper. So we zap the Yetzer Hara. So you need to know how to zap the Yetzer Hara and says, listen, I don't fall for your nonsense already. You fooled me once, you fooled me 100 times. That's it, I got the point. So, Mezad Hashem, we want to take from that the Yetzer Hara, we need to recognize it, we need to recognize the enemy, to know how to deal with it, so I can grow spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and fulfill the mitzvot of the Torah. And Mezad Hashem, Hashem should bless us all to have the ability and the awareness and the power to really know how to conduct my behavior, my thoughts, my speech, that I don't get being fooled by the Yetzer Hara on a daily basis. A beautiful rest of the week and a beautiful Shabbat.